and I'm going to tell you something about the Dutch phenomenon Saint Nicholas and his beloved Black Pete, who recently arrived in Holland. Black Pete is like an assistant of Saint Nicholas. He's always helping him with handing out the presents and the candy. He's also providing a good atmosphere. He is dancing, singing and always kind to everyone. But since a few years he is no longer seen as an assistant. He is seen as a slave by opponents. They obviously think that he's a slave because he's black, because of their skin. A tolerant country as we are would never have a racist tradition. This party is about celebrating St. Nicholas' birthday and not about discrimination. As though the Dutch understand, why can't the others? Many think that we're, as Dutch people, are the only ones who are allowed to judge about this party. They think that immigrants have to do research before and integrate before they have the right to judge about this party. Before we can give our opinion about this tradition, we should do some more research. Annemarijn, can you tell us some more about the history?
This is a typical Dutch tweet from the party of St. Nicholas. I'm Annemarijn and I'm going to tell you something about the history of St. Nicholas. The history of St. Nicholas begins in Turkey. Here is St. Nicholas, the Bishop of Turkey. He did a lot of good things. These good things became later a legend. The gingerbread cookies and candy straw come from the money he gives to poor people. There are a few stories about where Black Pete comes from. One of the stories is that Black Pete comes from Africa, who helped St. Nicholas as thanks for his release after slavery. Another story of Black Pete is that he's a chimney sweep with soot on his face. The rope was formerly used to clean the chimney, and the streamer made to distract from the stories that St. Nicholas was a seaman who was needed when people were in danger. We celebrate the St. Nicholas party since the 13th century. Around the Middle Ages, he gave certain poor children food and gifts on the day before he died. All the poor children were later treated, and the feast of St. Nicholas was a public use. Shoes as side of the gifts and candy played an important role. After the disappearance of the markets was the party become more in family circle in house celebrated. St. Nicholas' first entry was in the early 90s organized. When television was over good in 1952, started an annual television coverage around the entire of St. Nicholas. The annual television broadcast in the middle of November is the start of the St. Nicholas party that lasts till 5 December. St. Nicholas evening is at 5 December. 65% of the people in the Netherlands celebrate the birthday of St. Nicholas. People give each other presents or we make surprises for each other. We celebrate the birthday of St. Nicholas because it is a nice and fun party. Children are very happy and excited about it. And at St. Nicholas evening, it's a really nice and fun party where everybody is very happy. Of course, the parents are then happy too. But there's a discussion about the Black Pete now, because some people remind him at the slavery. They say that Black Pete shows the slavery and they want that Pete get another color. And they want that some songs get another text. That is the reason that we now have Cheese Pete and Clown Pete. The discussion about Pete are mainly the parents who are fighting with each other. Some do not want the Black Pete anymore because they say it is about their racism. The others are saying that it's the party for the children and they have to let it go because Pete is black of the chimney. The discussion is still not over and everybody has something to say about it.
A big misunderstanding that just a small minority of the Dutch people see Black Pete as negative. Last year's research showed that of all Amsterdammers with Surinamese, Antillean and Ghanaian background, that they see 1 out of 3 Black Pete as discrimination. Even 25% of the native Amsterdammers do think that Black Pete is racism. According to a recent national survey of Eén Vandaag, showed that more than 500,000 of Dutch people agree with the adoption. That number has nearly tripled since last year. Last year there was 5% and this year 30%. 30% of all Dutch people do think that Black Pete is discrimination. The others do think that it isn't discrimination. 1 out of 5 of the Dutch population finds it appropriate that there is a discussion about Black Pete. And almost a quarter of all Dutch people showed that an adjusted Pete with black soot marks on the face is acceptable. Een Vandaag indicates that education and age play a big role in adaptation readiness. Higher education are more willing to adapt the appearance than the lowest education. And Pete is allowed to be changed more in a group between 18 and 35 years than 65 plus. From the Amsterdammer study also showed that opinions of white and black Dutch people are very different. What do experts think? Chairman Vereen Shepherd of the United Nations said last year that St. Nicholas has to be abolished by the Dutch government because of the racial characteristics of Black Pete. Of course she says so, because she's black herself. Besides that, she's not even Dutch, so he's not allowed to judge about it. The PVV will release a Black Peter law in which municipalities are obligated to save the tradition. For example, at the arrival of Sinterklaas to ensure that Black Pete is true black. Municipalities can change the Sinterklaas songs according to the plan too. The law is meant to protect our culture, and discussion about Black Pete about racism is crazy, says Geert Wilders. Almost everyone has an opinion about Black Pete, but the most important is what the kids think. To get answers for this question has the University Center of Family Studies of Leiden started a research named Black Pete Through the Eyes of Children. The study examines children's ideas about the figure of Black Pete. Do children see an agreement between Black Pete and people with dark skin, or do they see them more as a fantasy figure? Has Black Pete influence on children's ideas about people with dark skin, or are those two separate from each other? They are still busy with the research, so we can conclude anything. But what can Annemarijn and I conclude? I think that we shouldn't change Black Pete appearance, because the majority still thinks that it's not necessary. They don't think that Black Pete is discrimination. Besides that, are most of the opponents immigrants. I think that those immigrants should integrate more. This integration process will lead to the idea that Black Pete is not discrimination. So opponents, let's integrate.